The King's Avatar, Chapter 1212 The Number 1 Ninja. Audio source, WuShoWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1212 The Number 1 Ninja. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. November 22, Glory Professional Alliance Season 10 Round 12. Happy played their home game against Misty Rain, and once again the television chose to live broadcast Happy's match. In this round, there were many matches between powerful teams, such as Wind Howl vs. Void, Tiny Herb vs. 100 Blossoms, Blue Rain vs. Thunderclap, and so on. But in the end, they chose to broadcast this match between two teams that currently weren't in the playoff zone. They took into consideration the current situations of these two teams. After 11 rounds, Happy's claim of aiming for the championship was still treated as a joke, but with their current ranking, people had to notice the potential this team had to make it to the playoffs. With a performance stronger than Samsara's in 3 consecutive rounds, they finally met a strong team, and everyone was curious as to whether or not Happy could continue their strong performance. Misty Rain had performed poorly in the past 2 rounds, instantly sliding from 5th place out of the playoff zone, and they urgently need to regroup. So, the collision of these two teams was a bit more exciting, and was therefore chosen to be broadcast. The attendance rate at Happy's home games continued to rise. Because of Excellent Era's many years of operation in City H, there was already a strong Glory fanbase. The old Excellent Era shut down and new Excellent Era was in the Challenger League. Many fans continued to follow Excellent Era matches, but many who liked watching professional matches slowly began to watch Happy's home matches. Happy's strong performance in the past 3 rounds incited even more attention and excitement. And now that they were facing the relatively strong Misty Rain, there was quite a crowd that came to watch the match in person. The players were introduced as they came on stage. Misty Rain, on Happy's home turf, actually received a decent amount of applause. After Misty Rain let go of their sharpshooter Lu Ying, the twin flowers Shuki and Shukashin became part of Misty Rain's main force. Half of Misty Rain's positions were now occupied by females, and they finally became a veritable woman's army. This unique scenery naturally inspired unique attention. The Shu twins are very popular right now. They can receive such a welcome even at an away game. Television commentator Pan Lin noted the current atmosphere of the stadium. Their skill is very high. Guest Li Yibo said. After the away team, the home team players came on stage. In terms of female players, Happy only had 1 fewer. Su Muchung and Tang Ru were both part of Happy's main force. Su Muchung's popularity in City H really didn't need to be mentioned. Her appearance always caused the audience to reach a peak in energy. But Tang Ru, after the 1v3, her supporters drastically diminished. Never mind neutral audience members, even many of Happy's supporters didn't like to see her anymore. The applause after her introduction was always scattered and lacking, and the atmosphere was so cold that it was awkward. The welcome received by the home players is even less than what the away players received. This is really... Pan Lin lamented. Tang Ru is very talented, but the way she dealt with this incident was really... Li Yibo also gave a half-sentence lament. After the introductions of the two teams, what came next were of course the polite greetings and interactions between the teams on stage. Welcome back. Even though she was Misty Rain's captain, Chu Yunsho didn't follow the custom to shake hands with Happy's captain, Yishu. Instead, she went to her close friend Su Muchung and gave her a hug. Yishu was left hanging with his hand still extended, smiling awkwardly, but from the side someone suddenly appeared to shake his hand. It's been a while. It's been a while, Yishu answered, smiling. The small and scrawny man before his eyes was Misty Rain's Li Hua, the current number 1 ninja in Glory. He entered Misty Rain in Season 7, appearing on the main roster that year, and that season he and Sun Shang were the most attention-grabbing rookies. But the styles of these two were exactly opposite. One was bright and eye-catching, charging at the front lines of battle. The other preferred to lurk in unnoticed shadows, launching sudden attacks when the opponent was defenseless. That season, Sun Xiang had snatched the title of Best Rookie, and the next year he joined the powerhouse Excellent Era, taking up one Autumn Leaf, a top account in Glory. And then his team was relegated, and failed to fight through the Challenger League, and only now in Samsara this season did he have a strong chance of winning. Sun Xiang's pro career could be said to be extremely unfortunate and frustrating. And Li Hua, who debuted the same year, had spent all his time working hard in Misty Rain. After his abilities were recognized, the team began working hard to build a character for him. The ninja Dark Forest was voted into the All-Stars along with Li Hua in Season 8, and again in Season 9. And in this season, Misty Rain's strategic style changed, and experts could all tell that it now revolved around Li Hua. The skinny little man played an extremely major role in Misty Rain. But after shaking hands with Yishu, he backed away and quietly stood to the side. If no one introduced him, it would be hard to imagine that this person was also an all-powerful top player in Glory. Chu Yunsho finally broke apart from her hug with Suma Chung. She turned to look at Yishu and casually slapped the right palm he was extending. "What, you want a hug too?" "I don't dare." Yishu grinned. "If you want a hug, then hug." Quote. And Chu Yunsho really came over to give Yishu a hug, just like that. "Welcome back," she said, patting Yishu's back. "Ha, in a while you won't be so welcoming," Yishu laughed. "Give it a try." Chu Yunsho laughed coldly and pushed him away. To the side, Fang Rui also opened his two arms. "Come." "The embrace of love," he called. "Get out. The player is as dirty as his playing." Chu Yunsho ignored Fang Rui. The players continued to move, shaking hands with each other down the line. When the Shu twins came to shake Yishu's hand, their feelings were a bit complex. Last year during the Christmas event, they really wanted to tear out the heart of this person in front of them. For this round against Happy, the two were already secretly planning to give this god a proper retaliation. "How about it? Do you regret joining Misty Rain? You should have come to our Happy," Yishu said as he shook their hands. "We're ahead of you in ranking," Shuki said. "Not for long," Yishu smirked. "Just wait and see." The sisters glared at Yishu, not at all afraid. The greetings were quickly completed. The first players in the individual round stayed on stage while everyone else returned to their player areas. Happy, Yishu, Lord Grimm, Misty Rain, Li Hua, Dark Forest. What a coincidence, Senior. The easily overlooked Li Hua was set up with Yishu again. "It is. I hope to learn from you in this match," Li Hua said politely. "Likewise." After this exchange of meaningless words, Li Hua paused. He clearly still wanted to say something, but he couldn't find the right words. After silently thinking for a while, the judge already declaring that they could enter their player booths, Li Hua finally said a third pointless sentence. WuxaWorldAudio.com. "Good luck, Senior." "Good luck." The two headed toward their respective competitor booths. Yishu, Happy once again sends out Yishu for the individual competition. So far he has almost always appeared in the individual competition. He already has 10 consecutive wins. This is the 12th round. Pan Lin said. In other words, this season, he hasn't lost a single 1v1, Li Yibo said. Right now was round 12, and Yishu was heading toward his 11th straight win in his 11th individual appearance. The answer was clear. With such a powerful 1v1 ability, why doesn't he anchor the group arena? Pan Lin didn't understand, since that was how most teams set it up. Probably to lessen his burden. Yishu isn't young anymore. Tyranny's already rotating their players. Li Yibo said. In a question of age, Tyranny always had to be mentioned. Then if Yishu continues with this pattern and rhythm, this season's King of Dueling award will be uncontested, Pan Lin said. For now, his unspecialized class gives him too great of an advantage. We'll see everyone's professional ability. Li Yibo said. Even if everyone is able to adjust, that doesn't necessarily mean they can beat Yishu if they meet. With his current win streak, even if he loses the next few rounds, there's a good chance that no one can surpass his 1v1 record, Pan Lin said. We need someone to hurry and break his consecutive win record first. Li Yibo laughed. Alright, let's watch Liwa. The two characters loaded onto the map. This was Happy's home game, so of course Yishu was the one choosing the map. He had already chosen all of the maps with nothing on them, so this time he had to pick one with some terrain features. This time, Yishu chose the hillside map. It was still flat with no barriers or obstacles, but the flat surface was slightly tilted, which of course would cause some changes. The two characters spawned at the two ends of the map, at the same height. Since this was a map with no barriers, the two of course wouldn't try any strategic maneuvers. They both charged straight AEAD, at the same time staring at the opponent's position. There was much strategy involved in choosing a position to stand on the hillside map. Because there was a slope, this would affect many skills and movements like jumping and rolling. To seize the high or the low ground, this was a question that had to be considered. The two players were both paying attention to this, so they both stayed at the same elevation, neither one gaining an advantage. Yishu didn't launch an attack as soon as he was in range. Lord Grim continued to rush forward all the way until he was in the ninja's attack range, but even then, Li Hua didn't control Dark Forest to attack either. Shincut. Lord Grim suddenly swept forward with his blade, instantly springing forward and greatly reducing the distance between the two. Li Hua was no longer quiet. Dark Forest waved his hand on a shuriken was sent flying toward Lord Grim. Next, his two hands were already rapidly forming seals, preparing the next step of attack. Ninjutsu, Shadow Dance. This powerful level 70 attack saw increasing direct use among ninjas. It could be used as a main attack, or to hide movements and confuse the opponent. In any case, with a shadow dance, a ninja suddenly had many options available. It didn't necessarily have to be used as a pure attack skill. Immediately, over a dozen Dark Forests charged at Lord Grim together. As the number one ninja in glory, his mastery over this powerful ninja skill didn't need to be mentioned. The live broadcast cut to Li Hua's camera view, which was constantly switching. It was clear that Li Hua was jumping non-stop between clones to achieve the best possible control over them. The 14 shadow clones formed an impressive array to surround Lord Grim. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1213. A continuously updating record. Audio source, wushaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1213. A continuously updating record. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Pooh. A cloud of purple smoke exploded, and Lord Grim disappeared into it. Facing Dark Forest's shadow dance, Yishu had Lord Grim surprisingly throw down a ninja skill, Smoke Bomb, to counter it. However, the purple smoke was only a cover. It didn't allow him to turn invisible. Dark Forest's shadow clones charged into the smoke. Li Hua switched his viewpoint around even faster. The purple smoke only lowered his visibility, it didn't make him blind. With so many shadow clones and so many eyes, Li Hua kept on switching between clones until he found Lord Grim soon afterwards. Li Hua was calm. All of his shadow clones gathered into one spot and marched forward together. Numerous ninja blades stabbed towards Lord Grim. Hit. Surrounded on all sides, Lord Grim had no way of dodging, and the numerous blades pierced into Lord Grim. However, Lord Grim puffed into smoke and became one with the surrounding purple fog. Shadow clone technique. Li Hua reacted. If not for the smoke bomb affecting his vision, with his skill as the number one ninja, he could easily distinguish between a fake and a real body. However, he had fallen for it. All of his clones had gathered into one spot, but their attacks only hit a clone. Where's his real body? A purple shadow flashed out from the purple smoke. Because of the closeness in color, the shadow could only be seen by relying on the disturbances in the flow of the smoke. Which skill? Night cloak. The group of dark forest clones were bound together by the night cloak. Earthquake sword. The earth tumbled in the smoke, and a spellblade earthquake sword swept over the bundled together dark forest shadow clones, rocking them wildly. A grenade rolled over. Boom. The grenade exploded and the shadow clones puffed one after the other. These clones didn't have much health. After taking heavy damage, they faded away. Lord Grimm could finally be seen. The myriad manifestations umbrella extended outwards, curving at the top, an exorcist's scythe. Rising emblem. A blue ring of light floated above the ground, and the rearing shadow clones rose into the air. Lord Grimm rushed forward, sweeping at him with his scythe. The frail shadow clones instantly disappeared. The only one remaining was Dark Forest's real body. Collapsing mountain. The attacks didn't stop as Lord Grimm swung his blade. Li Hua didn't dare fight head-on. Dark Forest quickly formed a hand seal and then disappeared. There was no substitute straw nor a shadow clone left behind, yet to suddenly disappear could only mean, with a collapsing mountain to quickly drop to the ground. Yizhu didn't pause, immediately having Lord Grimm leap backwards. Dark Forest drilled out of the ground, underground tunneling technique. Lord Grimm had leapt backwards, but it didn't seem to be enough. However, the sword in his hand suddenly pointed in front of him. Falling light blade. Lord Grimm didn't dodge. When he jumped back, he readied this skill, timing it so that it would clash with Dark Forest's ninja blade. Ding! Dark Forest tumbled back, while Lord Grimm was left hanging in the air. Storm Shuriken. Dark Forest didn't wait to stand up and threw a Storm Shuriken at Lord Grimm. A sword light flashed. A sword draw accurately connected with the Storm Shuriken. However, the word storm indicated this shuriken's might. It wasn't something a sword draw out prioritized. Storm Shuriken broke through the sword draw and stubborn continued onwards. Moonlight, full moonlight slash. 2 beautiful arcs and 2 clear rings. Lord Grimm quickly used the Ghost Blade's 2 combo slash, and with these 3 consecutive skills, he was able to knock down the Storm Shuriken. Lord Grimm was still in the air. Dark Forest stood up and attacked. Ninjutsu, flickering pursuit. The difficult-to-see shadow arrived in front of Lord Grimm in the blink of an eye. One attack, hit, his shadow flickered, and he appeared behind Lord Grimm. Another attack, third hit. Dark Forest's silver weapon, 16 Dark Knights, stabbed silently without light. But this time, the blade didn't strike the body. Lord Grimm had grabbed it. It wasn't possible to do such fine movements through normal inputs, which meant it was a skill. Back throw. Dark Forest's head crashed into the ground. Li Hua was dumbstruck. He was in disbelief. To be able to grab someone in the middle of body pathway arrangement, what type of judgment and mechanical skill did he have? After falling to the ground, Dark Forest was stepped on by Lord Grimm, who fired at his head repeatedly. Punisher. Dark Forest immediately rolled in an attempt to get up and Lord Grimm also jumped back, but Lord Grimm was prepared for his roll. Long-ranged attacks used at close range were too fast to dodge. Dark Forest, who was in mid-roll, was unable to dodge Lord Grimm's bullet and was hit. The damage wasn't high, but it stunned. This was a Spitfire's stun bullet. Lord Grimm calmly chased after him and started attacking. TSK. The commentator panel inside, shaking his head. The unspecialized skill options really make it difficult to defend against. Li Yibo said. He has too many similar skills at his disposal. For example, knock-up skills, knockback skills, charge skills, skills that every class possesses. However, these classes usually just have one or two of these skills, but he has access to all of them. Just take knock-up skills. Every class can get for low-leveled ones, but he gets 24. The available options that he has is too much. For the average player, just these 24 knock-up skills is enough to juggle them in the air endlessly until death. But I've never seen him play like that, Pan Lin said. Of course, he's playing against pro players. After all, they shouldn't be getting juggled to death. I didn't raise this example to talk about this though. I'm pointing out that with so many options, he has practically no cooldowns because most of the time, he can find a similar skill to substitute what he wants. Low-level skills have short cooldowns too. This one's on cooldown, but that one is off cooldown. Li Yibo said. We understand Coach Li's reasoning. In reality, it isn't his class that's crucial, but the weapon in his hands. The Myriad Manifestations umbrella eliminates the cooldown required for switching weapons, allowing him to freely use whatever class skills he wants, Pan Li said. Yes. Without the Myriad Manifestations umbrella, it's not possible to play in this way. Li Yibo said. The discussion going on between these two wasn't anything new. Ye Zhu already had 11 consecutive wins. These problems could be seen in each of his wins. Fortunately, Happy's matches weren't always the broadcasted highlight matches. If not, this discussion would be repeated so many times that the viewers would have insects crawling out of their ears. The stun bullet into-comboed Li Hua found an opening and used substitution technique to escape. But right when he turned around, he saw that Lord Grimm was already in front of him. See, Li Yibo yelled. Charged Xing cut, and then colliding stab. What class can use so many movement skills in a row? The distance gained by Dark Forest using substitution technique should have completely safe against any class. But Lord Grimm was able to use 3 high-speed movement skills to instantly close the gap. Pooh. While Li Yibo was chartering, Dark Forest was pierced through by Lord Grimm's colliding stab, and then with a fling, Dark Forest crashed into the mountain wall. Sigh, there's no suspense. This map indeed isn't very suitable for ninjas. Ye Zhu is also very cunning. All the maps that he chooses force the other side to have a direct fight with him. However, none of his opponents can defend against the unspecialized offensive. But he hasn't met another god yet. That's true, the gods are always the anchors in the group arena. Pan Lin were already declaring this as Ye Zhu's victory ahead of time. Reality proved their predictions true. WuxaWorldAudio.com. In the end, Li Hua was unable to stop Ye Zhu from continuing with his record. 12 consecutive wins. Pan Lin said. Yeah. Happy won the first round of the individual competition. Ye Zhu's 12 consecutive wins was added to Glory's history books. Not only was he setting this record, he was continuously updating it. Just like what Pan Lin said. How many consecutive wins is he going to stop it? After Ye Zhu, Happy's ninja, Mo Fan, went on stage. The map that he chose was incomparably complex. Deception appeared and disappeared like the gods and devils, eventually grinding down the opponent to death. His victory wasn't easy though. In 2 of his ambushes, the other side was the one who controlled the flow, especially the second time. He was almost burst to death. At this moment, Mo Fan's reason for choosing a ninja showed. Smoke bomb, substitution technique, shadow clone technique. Ninjas had quite a few escape skills. After Mo Fan was Su Mucheng. Her artillery fire helped Happy win another match, completing the individual competition with a clean 3-0. The strong team Misty Rain seemed unable to stop Happy's recent momentum, which annoyed those like Ruin Cheng who wanted to ridicule Happy. You guys are playing well. Boss Chen Guo led the applause, celebrating their 3 wins in the individual competition. Good. Next up, watch us. Fang Rui stood up and shouted. He often went on stage in the group arena, appearing as the lead of the group arena. Under Fang Rui's lead, Happy won another 2 points in the group arena. The crowd cheered. Happy was on its way to a 10-0. The map chosen for the team competition was more important, which also meant that the home team had a greater advantage. As Happy improved, their teamwork was becoming better and better. With the individual competition and group arena won, the fans were very confident for the team competition. The players going up for the team competition were all actively preparing for it, whether that be calming their emotions or stretching their shoulders and fingers. Nervous, Yishu suddenly asked the person next to him. What are you joking? Wei Chen turned his head as if he had heard the greatest joke of the century. That's good, Yishu chuckled. Got any cigarettes? Hand me one. Wei Chen said. Smoking is prohibited, Yishu said. Sigh, back then was the best. Now we can't even smoke. Wei Chen looked up at the spacious stadium. When he had been competing, there hadn't been such beautiful stadiums, nor had there been so many rules. Let's go. Yishu patted his back. With this old man, this match will be a piece of cake. Wei Chen said, standing. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 12-14. Observer Wei Chen. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 12-14. Observer Wei Chen. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. The players sent up for the team competition walked onto the stage. Happy, Yishu, Su Mucheng, Tang Rou, Wei Chen, Fang Rui. Misty Rain, Chu Yongshu, Li Hua, Shu Kexen, Shu Qi, Feng Xiangming, Bai Qi. Misty Rain's line-up for the team competition was rather unusual. Their team composition consisted of an elementalist, ninja, 2 sharpshooters, and a cleric. Over the course of Glory history, all sorts of systematic analysis and experimentation had been done. In the early days, there had even been 5-blade master team comps, but these types of team comps quickly faded away. According to the current Glory meta, a team composition should have at least a melee class, a long-range class, and a healer with 2 other classes to build on this base. But in Misty Rain's team comp, their melee classes weren't pure melee. Whether it was taijutsu sharpshooters or both long and close-range ninja, none of these classes were true melee classes, yet this unconventional team composition was Misty Rain's main force. Their tactics revolved around this team comp. According to past data, Misty Rain's team comp didn't seem to be reliable. Facing strong teams, the team had yet to win a single match. They had even lost their home game against Team 301, a team considered weaker than them. Even those who won, never expressed their disapproval of Misty Rain's innovative tactics. The one with the most persuasiveness was Team Tyranny's master tactician, Zhang Xinji. In their 6-4 match against Misty Rain, Tyranny had lost their points in the individual competition and group arena, but in the post-match press conference, Zhang Xinji focused more on Misty Rain's performance in the team competition. Very flexible with lots of variations. This was Zhang Xinji's evaluation of Misty Rain's team comp and playstyle. It was very simple, only 6 words, but was just how Zhang Xinji spoke. Everyone knew that Zhang Xinji would never talk about anything without reason. He might not say that something was 9, but if he said it, then it was definitely 9, and not 8 or 10. As a result, Misty Rain's team comp and playstyle led to quite a bit of discussion. Tactics were never secrets because you had to use them on stage for everyone to see. Thus, many tactics were common among everyone. The difference between strong teams and weak teams was an issue of a team's execution. The analysis and discussion towards Misty Rain's tactics leaned towards the positive side, which meant their rather poor win record was because of their execution. After all, this was the first season Misty Rain started running this playstyle. They need time to practice and familiarize themselves with it. Every opponent each round was a sharpening stone for Misty Rain. However, no team was willing to become their stepping stone. Happy wasn't willing either. Happy had carefully discussed and analyzed Misty Rain's playstyle in their pre-work. In the end, they arranged this team lineup to counter it. Wei Chen would be appearing for his first time in the team competition in round 12. His Warlock was undoubtedly a crucial part to Happy's strategy. Wei Chen, who was sitting in the player booth, wasn't calm. The stadium and the seats, none of these were the same as when he had played competitively back then. Even though he was an experienced old general, in reality, he was new to the modern glory competition. The seat under his butt felt uncomfortable and the sealed player booth felt stuffy. A cigarette would be great, Wei Chen thought to himself, but when he looked around the interior of the player booth, he could clearly see a sign prohibiting smoking. Fuck this, senior won't smoke, but just dangling a cigarette in my mouth is fine, right? Wei Chen felt indignant. He felt out a cigarette from his pocket and put it in his mouth. The 5-second countdown passed, and the two teams loaded into the map. The map was Mud River Peninsula and was split into 4 sections, linked together by a narrow piece of land. The separation between these 4 sections could be crossed. They were just a collection of small or large swamps. The center of the map also had a circular swamp. Characters could go into the swamps and not receive damage, but their movement speed would be slowed by 70%. This map was clearly a restrictive map. Apart from the swamps, there were lots of trees that could be used for protection. Happy had clearly chosen this map to restrict Misty Rain's long-range classes. Happy loaded into the northwest corner of the peninsula, while Misty Rain loaded into the southeast corner. Wei Chen sucked in a deep breath and had windward formation set out according to the strategy the team had prepared. Team Happy's 5 players split up into 3 groups as they moved forward. Tang Rou, Su Mucheng, and An Wenyu went straight ahead, while Yishu and Wei Chen circled around from the left and right. The middle group moved more slowly to match the pace of the two circling from the left and right. The 3 groups were constantly updating each other with their positions as they advanced. The team competition maps were much larger than the 1v1 maps, but that didn't mean the two sides would take a long time to find each other. The middle group were gradually starting to see the circular swamps in the central region appearing within their sight. But they were intentionally slowing their pace, so since they had yet to see Misty Rain, they knew that Misty Rain took a roundabout path. The middle group informed Yishu and Wei Chen, the two on their left and right. I know, they're on my side. Wei Chen had been just about to notify them. Windward formation was hiding in a shrub on the side. Misty Rain's 5 characters hadn't scattered and were concentrated in one place, preparing to traverse through the swamps to directly cut across to the southwest region. If they moved along the swamp line, they would get to the rear of Happy. Too bad they've been found by this senior. Wei Chen peeped at them, while delightedly plotting what he should do next. If Happy had been together, then ambushing him while Misty Rain was traversing through the swamps would be the most optimal choice, but since he was alone, Wei Chen hesitated. Even though his windward formation had an abnormally long range, that was only relative to his class. Misty Rain had 2 sharpshooters, whose natural attack ranges were above mages. Even with windward formation's increased cast range from his weapon Death's Hand, he had no advantage over these 2 sharpshooters. Misty Rain is forcefully traversing through the swamps. Do you guys think I should attack or not? Unsure of what to do, Wei Chen asked for the opinion of his teammates. They have 2 sharpshooters. You won't be able to suppress them. Ye Zhu replied. Stealthily place a death's door to their side. Wei Chen said. Windy rain spells will instantly blow it up. Ye Zhu said. Stealthily placing a death's door was a concept that only existed among the normal players. Death's door made a huge disturbance when cast and required the caster to control it. Pro players could easily deduce the enemy warlock's position. Then what do? We'll prepare an ambush at the Half Moon Rock in the 9 o'clock position, while you go back on your original path and cut to their rear. Ye Zhu replied. They're probably about a minute away from the Half Moon Rock, assuming that they directly move in that direction, Wei Chen calculated from Misty Rain's movement speed. Good, that's enough time. Are you fine? Ye Zhu said. No problems here, Wei Chen replied. Don't appear in front of them too early. Ye Zhu said. Ha, hilarious, Wei Chen replied. He didn't hurry to move his windward formation into position. He continued to crouch inside the bush, watching as Misty Rain's 5 players moved through the swamp towards the southwest corner. They've passed through. Quote, after Wei Chen sent the message, windward formation finally left the brush. Half Moon Rock. Situated at the link between the northwest and southwest region, Tang Ro's soft mist leaned on the outer edge of the rock with her spear propped up. In just one step, she could launch an attack on any passing characters. Suma Chung's dancing rain leaped to a spot 3/4 of the way up the Half Moon Rock. In one jump, she would be able to reach the top of the rock, letting her suppress the enemies with her firepower from the high ground. And Wen Yi's little cold hands didn't need to find an attacking position. He just moved into a position between the 2 characters to support them. In position. In position. In position. The 3 players each confirmed that they had reached their chosen positions. Would they succeed in ambushing Misty Rain? The suspense was unfolding before them. The live crowd and the viewers watching the broadcast waited for the moment to happen. After Team Misty Rain crossed through the swamp, their movement speed returned to normal, and they quickly advanced forward. Soon, the Half Moon Rock was within their sights. Wei Chen's windward formation reached this area one step ahead of them. He once again found an ambush spot in a shrub by the road and observed Team Misty Rain's movements. They've arrived. They've slowed down. WuxRWorldAudio.com. They're probably wary of the Half Moon Rock. They've changed direction. They're not heading towards Half Moon Rock. Fuck, they're coming my way. Then you're the bait. Go lure them into our ambush. Ye Zhu made a firm decision. How evil. Wei Chen cursed, but he also approved of this decision. Windward formation suddenly scurried out of the bush. Bang. Lower your head, none dare attack. Having changed from male to female characters through a back door, the Shu sisters immediately fired at Windward formation. Windward formation rolled and crawled frantically, moving in a beautiful S-path. Bang. An incomparably powerful sounding gunshot sounded. Lower your head directly mounted Thunder Snipe and fired a heavy shot amidst none dare attack's rain of bullets. Windward formation wasn't able to avoid the snipe. Blood spurted from his wound. Both person and blood tumbled forward. How fierce. Wei Chen didn't forget to give a remark when he was hit. Keep up the good work, Ye Zhu encouraged him. Where the fuck are you? Wei Chen asked. Ye Zhu wasn't among the ones who confirmed they were in position. I'm ready to help you at any moment, Ye Zhu said. Wei Chen turned around to look. Misty Rain had started speeding up, looking as if they wouldn't rest until he died. The 2 sharpshooters shot a hail of bullets, putting Wei Chen's reactions to the test. windward formation was instantly hit by several bullets. Fuck, if this was 10 years ago. Wei Chen's reaction speed and mechanical skill weren't able to keep up. He suddenly realized that he might not be able to complete his mission as bait. Help! Wei Chen immediately called for help. Dancing Rain leaped onto the top of Half Moon Rock, propped up her heavy cannon, and started firing. End chapter.